Hello, hello, and welcome to episode 63 of Nintendo Noise Flip Screen Games weekly Nintendo podcast. I'm your host this week, Stephen Radford, and I'm joined as always by my very good friends and co-hosts, Miss Sierra Plus Ultra.
Heyo!
And Mr. Chewy Plays.
Away!
See, I'm screwing everything up. I'm changing the orders. We synced incorrectly at the beginning. Everything's amiss because Pete's not here.
Variety is the spice of life.
Yes, indeed. Well, before we get started, I just want to thank our Patreon producers for the month of October. They are, of course, Christian Oliveria, Christopher Valens, Gabriel Hassamar, aka Sobi, Mary Berry, Wakahula, and Zaid Ida. How are you both doing this week?
Doing good.
It's been a time.
Yeah? Did you go to Pete's
How
wedding?
are you doing? I did! We missed y'all! Oh my god. It was a blast. Would have loved to have you both there, but it was a blast. The cake toppers, I don't know if you saw them, but they were Animal Crossing villagers.
I
So
did,
cute.
yeah.
Cake was
Yeah.
delicious. They had drink specials named after their cats. I was slamming the Hugo. And but I've known Pete since we were in college, so that was 2010. And when I met Pete, he played in a ska band, so his old bandmates were there, and everyone was they were playing ska and punk music and skanking,
cool.
and there's a circle pit. It was amazing. And then his current band, longtime friend, I got to see. There's a lot of friends at the wedding. It was a great time. I'm very glad I.
Oh, that's
very
awesome!
grateful,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I couldn't make it, unfortunately. Just way too expensive with the flights and accommodation and everything to come over. But hopefully, I'll be making it to America sometime next year.
Yay!
But we had a question from Pete, and he said, "How much do you miss me?" And you know what, Pete, I miss you so much. I've been manning the fort for everything. I did a podcast yesterday, putting the show notes together. I forgot that I had to set OBS up, so I had to get the scenes and everything ready, and I was like, please, oh no. You forget how much your partner in crime does behind the scenes when he goes away for a week. But I hope he's having a really good time in Jamaica, and if he's listening to this,
sure.
or
cool.
maybe on the flight back, enjoy the podcast, enjoy listening to it,
and enjoy Jamaica. That sounds great.
Yes. Enjoy. Do nothing. Do zero things. Head empty time. You and Sarah both deserve it.
Well, this week I think the majority of stuff is going to be from the question block. We have an absolute ton of questions, and not much has happened in the world of Nintendo this week, other than some follow-up on drama from last week. We did get one piece of news though, which was a new ghost-type Pokemon that was revealed today, as of the time of recording. And Sierra put it in the chat. She was like, a new Pokemon just dropped. So I'm going to hand it over to Sierra to tell us about the Pokemon, because as everyone that listens to this show knows, I know nothing about Pokemon.
Well, it is a little guy named Greavard, I think. Greavard?
I think it's Greavard or Greavard.
Greavard.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, Greavard. Possibly a play on graveyard. He's a new ghost type.
That's a cool play on graveyard. Yeah, I didn't even clock that.
Yeah, it's he's a ghost type. It is a ghost type. It likes to lurk underground, and so when you stumble upon it, it's just a little candle above the surface.
That's really cute.
Very adorable little lad, but Pokemon loves to just sneak in really ominous lore when it comes to ghost Pokemon these days. Apparently the Pokemon, you have to keep it at a distance, because if you play with it too much, it will suck the life force out of you. So I don't know how that works. I don't know. But yeah,
I presume that's
cute,
probably
though.
one of its skills then. During a fight, is it sucks the life out of people.
Yeah, I'm curious how that's like, it makes me think, like, why would they put that detail in there? Is it relevant to
Well,
gameplay, or is it just, like, spooky?
it explains why dogs exist, right? They're just so needy. They need it all from you, and
I will
so this
say,
dog proves it.
Chewie, you're absolutely right. Dogs be like
Uh-huh.
that. It's worth it, but they be like that.
They
What
ask a lot of you.
I saw the Pokemon and I was like, I really liked the look of it. I know nothing about it. And Brandy had a question. Choose your dog, and he posted a picture of another dog, and I don't know which dog Pokemon it is.
That one's Fidough.
Mhm,
Fido.
That's the bread one.
Oh, but yeah, he's got like
mhm.
bagels for
Like Philo
ears.
dough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like Philo
Yeah.
dough. You use it in baking.
Okay, okay. I
Or
mean,
skunk.
of the two, like Mr. Bagel looks better than the other one, but I really like the
Mr. Bagel.
I like the other dude's
When okay,
candle.
you are now getting this game, and you are nicknaming that dog Mr. Bagel.
Yeah, but this is valid. Why do we only get one Mr. Pokemon? We only have Mr. Mime.
Yeah, I know, it's
Why not
really
Mr.
annoying,
Dog,
isn't it?
Mr.
Yeah.
Bagel, Mrs. Grape? I don't know. It's just so change it up.
Yeah. I wanted to do like a
But
game at some point where you lot show me Pokemon and I've got to try and guess the names because I know I'd be terrible at it because I
Yes.
don't know any of
I
the
love
Pokemon
this!
names.
Steve,
So
you're a
Uh-huh.
genius.
you've all
We
got
need
to
to do
come
that.
one week with like a list of like some images of Pokemon, and I've got to try and guess what the hell they are because I genuinely have no idea. I wouldn't have even guessed that this Pokemon, Mr. Bagel, was made of bread unless someone had told me.
Yeah, it does look like he's made of something else. Like, it could be clay, I don't know, or just it's generally a round Pokemon, I don't know. Like, 'cause that doesn't, like I don't see I don't think bagel when I look at its ears, but, like, I know it's a bagel or like a bread Pokemon because they were like, "This is the bread Pokemon," and I was like, "Okay."
And it's spelled Dough.
Yeah.
Oh,
Fido.
okay. Fine. Like, okay, got it.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that makes sense then.
Mhm.
Do these have like variants, or is this the first time they've been in a Pokemon game? Like they don't have like regional.
First one.
Okay.
These are new, yeah.
Yeah.
Of the
I
new
like Greavard.
Pokemon you've seen, like what are your favorite ones?
Cerulege, hands
Smoliv.
down.
Smoliv. I love okay, I'm already calling it now. This isn't gonna happen, but I want the, evolution of Smoliv to be Talliv, and it's just 3 olives stacked together wearing a
Yeah,
trench
that would
coat.
be great. That would be great.
That would be amazing. I'm crossing my fingers,
That that
honestly.
was one of my favorite things in Mario Odyssey where you had to stack the Goombas. I thought it was so funny to just like walk around. It's
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a big tall stack of Goombas the whole time. It was
Yeah.
great.
uh-huh. I
Mhm.
just got a Goomba friend. I don't know, he's kinda behind my chair, but I
Oh,
got a little Goomba.
where did you get him from? Did you just buy him?
I found him at Target, yeah. So, I
Cool.
just got a Goomba and a Bomb. 'Cause the Bomb is really
Aw,
cute.
okay.
They're yeah, they're
Yes.
Oh,
both
moms are
adorable.
great.
I love
Yeah.
'em.
I
Mhm.
I always wanted a thwomp and a womp as well. I always loved those two.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Yes.
Mhm.
How are you both feeling about Pokemon as a whole though? Because I feel like, and maybe this is just me being naive because I don't know anything about Pokemon. I feel like they're showing a hell of a lot of the game and like drip
Yeah.
feeding it all of the time and revealing a lot. It kind of feels like there's not really going to be much left to find out by the time that you play the game.
I feel
Yeah.
like that's just how it works, right? Like, I feel like the whole loop with Pokemon fans is like, "Oh, we're so starved for information. When are we gonna find out about the new thing?" And there's been nothing for, like, a whole month or something. I don't know how long it's been, but there's that, like, section of time, usually early in the year, up until February, where they're like, "Huh, Pokemon better show something big at their big thing this February," you know? And then they'll get, like, a trailer, they'll get their announcements and stuff, and then you kinda have to wait for half of the year, but then after that year, half year passes, just, like, news after news after news with Pokemon. I'm just like, you guys get a lot of news. There's always stuff going on in this Pokemon world. I don't know if you know this, but other games don't get that. Look at Metroid, nothing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but Pokemon, everything, every time, every day.
I know. All the merchandising opportunities, they're just like, we gotta get these folks familiar with the new ones. I don't know. I think the thing that stinks is, like, I wish I could remember what, release cycles were like for games before, Sun and Moon. Sun and Moon is, like, the last one I can kind of, like, remember what it was like to get, like, that drip feed of updates. It does comparatively feel like we're getting a lot more than ever now, like, bite-size, like, reveals, like, every other week,
Yeah.
which is interesting. Um,
And they
I
and they
wonder
have, like,
also, like
reveals for the reveals. There'll be, like, a new trailer's dropping in, like, 2 days' time, and then the trailer will show, like,
yeah,
next to nothing. It's really bizarre.
like, with the gym
Yeah.
leader, like, I appreciate the lore,
Did
but,
sh
then it was like, "Oh, that's just to reveal a new Pokemon."
did she ever have, like, a follow-up video, after that first one to, like, actually announce that
Yeah,
Pokemon, or did they just okay, because I totally missed that one. I was like, "Was she not gonna show up and
I missed
announce
it
this
too, though.
Pokemon?"
People had to, like, link me. I was like, "What happened after that?"
Yeah,
Um,
I didn't see it.
yeah, I don't know. It's only October. We're, like, less than a month away now. So, I'm wondering if, like, that last gameplay trailer is, like, the last one we're gonna get or if they're gonna drop one more bombshell.
It's 2 weeks
I
now, right?
feel like 3, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not long from now at
Yeah,
all.
it's not
it's not
far.
long at all. We may get one more reveal then in not next week, the week after, and that's, like, the final thing, just to hype up one last
Final
time.
evolutions.
Yeah, I think
Fi
that's what it's gonna be. I think that's gonna be our last information bomb, and then it's like, "Alright," and just
I
let it rip.
yeah. I think the thing with,
S
like, Pokemon news is I always feel like they show too much. There's just, like, so much at the end, and I'm like, I guess I don't really know what to consider a spoiler for Pokemon at this point or too much information because I feel like a lot of the information's usually the same kind of thing too. It's like, all right, we know we're gonna get new Pokemon, we know we're gonna be in this new region, and there's new stuff to do, and
Yeah, but you know
and
all of
that's like
that's
any
coming.
game,
Like
right? Like that's
I want the kind of thrill for me would be finding the new Pokemon. Can you imagine
I
if they
agree.
like revealed everything about Breath of the Wild before you played the game and there were no surprises? It's the sense of exploration you got in that game that was really kind of thrilling that you never got in anything else. And if they could easily replicate that in Pokemon by not revealing everything and feeling like you're the
yeah.
first one finding it, like I'm actually the first one that's ever found this Pokemon. And like you'd
I
get
know.
caught up in the bubble of everyone doing it online and you seeing a new Pokemon for the first time, wanting to go catch it. I really think they could have something, but they always seem to want to lay all of their cards on the table and be like, here's everything that's in the
Mm,
Pokédex in this game.
I at the
yeah.
least remember as a kid, like, not knowing every Pokemon that was gonna be in every new game. I think for Sword and Shield, I think they did, like, a video where they revealed, like, "Alright, so there's a lot of new Pokemon you haven't seen. We're gonna show you them. We're gonna show you all of them. No surprises." If I remember correctly. I just remember watching a video that was like a montage of a bunch of new ones. I hope they don't do that this time because, like you said, Steve, I think it's nice when you discover something on your own in a game and it's not spoiled for you.
Yeah.
I guess it's not a spoiler if they're officially releasing it, but it still feels like one,
Yeah,
It's like,
and that's what I'm saying, like, the difficulty is, like, what is a spoiler at this point when Pokemon doesn't seem to treat anything like a spoiler outside of, like,
Well, and how do
every
you
year the games
cater
get leaked a little early.
and how do you cater for both sides as well? Because there are going to be the people that want to know everything about it before they go in, and they want to know what's in the Pokedex, and they're the people that's constantly demanding more, more, more. And there are the people, it sounds like all three of us, who want a little bit of information to kind of give us a taster of what we can expect, but then just shut it down because we're already excited about the game. I don't need to see any more. It's like when I see a teaser trailer for a movie and I'm like already hooked. I don't need to see trailer 1, 2, and 3 afterwards because it just feels like they're revealing all the story beats, and I want to experience those for myself when I first watch the movie.
Right.
Yeah. I watch 1 minute of trailers now.
I don't
Like,
watch them
of
at
any
all.
trailer that
Yeah.
comes out, I watch 1 minute max, and then I'm like, "Alright, I don't wanna watch this whole movie in the trailer. I'd rather go and watch the
Trailers
whole
shouldn't be
movie."
longer than 1 minute anyway, but
Yeah, 30 seconds at this point, like,
yes.
there there's too much. There's just too much. Um,
The other thing is, like, if they're gonna start giving us less Pokemon each generation, fine. Let me discover them in the game then. I
Yeah.
mhm,
don't wanna know what they are. I wanna be surprised.
yeah. Yeah, and I go out of my way to play each game with new Pokemon. Like I will only use the new ones, and I don't even like count variants into that, even though they are like they're basically new Pokemon. Um, but even then, I'm just like, no, it's got to have just a completely new name in Pokemon that we've never seen, and that's play my first go round. So it's fun for me to find all those new ones and see like, oh, I did not expect to see this Pokemon. And even sometimes I'll run into somebody with like a Pokemon that I hadn't seen, and I'm just like, where the what? Where do you get this thing? I want this on my team. So I don't know. There's a lot of excitement around that, but I think Pokemon the Dex is always like one of the biggest things to leak usually before a game comes out.
Yeah, I mean,
And
and Nintendo
fortunately,
really needs to figure that out as well. Like they put the the actual game up on the eShop days before it's due for release, and then like people just download it.
mhm,
Pirates would just download it. People with like hacked switches, and we'll be playing the game days early and know everything about it before people who've actually bought the game can experience it, and it sucks. Happens every single big
yeah.
release. It always happens. I don't know why they don't just wait to put the game up later, or they need to somehow figure out a way to only add stuff in with a day one patch, or make it accessible with a day one patch or something. Like it should not be that people can download the game before it's released who aren't even paying for it.
Right.
Yeah, that's weird. I know with the preload thing, it's like I pay for it ahead of time, and then the week before it downloads. Like
Yeah,
it'll
and at that point, that's when
pre-download.
if you've got hacked Switch, you can play the game.
You can just get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how they'll be able
Yeah.
to avoid that.
Well, you could do what I did and just log off Twitter completely, but it's very difficult.
How long
That's
has that
true.
been now? Has it been like a month? How has it been
It's
avoiding being out of it?
it's been a month, it's been very difficult. At first it was difficult because FOMO, then I got over it. But, now it's like I have like my band's doing stuff and I'm like, well, like everyone's like we're my bandmates are together, but we're all busy. So I'm like, well, my hands are free. I can post for us. And then like you go down the rabbit hole and you're like, oh, I missed this. And you're like scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And then a half hour passes. I will say though, got a lot of time back. So I recommend it for that reason. But um now it just changed otherwise. But I also like, it's good though to do, like, if you're trying to avoid spoilers for things because the internet just gets worse and worse. I feel
Yeah.
like I
Mhm.
mute so many characters, keywords, and it's not enough. So, I'm glad that at least, I've been able to avoid certain spoilers for things like manga and anime
Mhm.
um, and I guess, like, some video game stuff has been a bigger surprise for me because like, I will miss a trailer and then someone will be like, "Surprise, look at this thing that went up today." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. And
So
they're everywhere. Literally everywhere. I'll avoid watching like interviews with actors who are in anything they've done recently. I'm like, okay, I know you're doing your like press cycle for whatever movie you're in, your show you're in, and I literally watched one after watching some. Uh, I think it was the Obi-Wan Star Wars on Disney Plus, right? And I watched one with the actress who played Riva. I think that was her name.
mhm.
Anyways, the one scene they picked to show, I was like, oh my gosh, that is the biggest spoiler at the end. Like, why would
Oh,
you pick this scene to show? It's ridiculous. But yeah, I don't
that's
know if
sad.
Pokemon will be able to avoid it. I think it's really just up to doing what Sierra does, like, avoid it yourself.
Yeah. The internet gets worse and worse. It really
Mhm,
does.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, the I mute almost everything, and I'm like crazy with the block button on Twitter. But even then, you can't avoid
mhm.
it. And Twitter is the worst. Last year, they ruined Bake Off for me because even though I'd muted
Oh,
and blocked
no.
everything with Bake Off in, they put it in the little window on the right hand side, the like trending topic,
Yeah.
and that doesn't get muted. And it showed the fucking picture of
Uh-uh.
the winner with the plate in their hand, and I was so mad, so mad.
It doesn't get blocked either. Like, I remember just 2 days ago, I clicked on something and they're like, "Oh, this is from something you blocked." And I was like, "Then why are you showing it to
Yeah, I don't
me
understand why it
in that
shows
little
you.
Right.
window?"
Yeah, it really should filter
That
it
should
out.
extend. I'm so
Mhm.
sorry. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
It's the struggle. Especially people have different schedules. They wanna
And like
watch
it
this stuff on
releases
their
in
own that's
America
why it's
like
streaming.
3 days later. Like we get it on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, and you guys get it on Friday. If you
Oh,
had
wow.
seen that, you wouldn't have even aired in your country at that point. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. That's the
Yeah.
convenience of streaming for people, where it's just like, "We can watch this whenever we want. Let us enjoy it
Hmm.
a little bit after it just aired," you know? Give me a weekend, at least.
Well, and googling things a pain as well because you'll like say you are trying to avoid Pokemon spoilers. You'll Google Pokemon, and all of the news
Mhm.
stories will be at the top with like everything that's just recently been revealed, filled full of keywords, so people click on it, and it's a
Yeah.
minefield to try and avoid it. So I kind of just wish it would just be kept in the bag until last minute, and then people who did want to see it could see it, but people that don't and want to try and avoid it and have like fresh eyes on the game can experience it just completely fresh.
Mhm.
For sure. There's no surprises anymore. We're a spoilers culture.
Hmm.
Yeah. Game developers gotta get like Beyonce. Just reveal nothing. Just
It's out
drop a
when it's out.
thing. So, yeah.
Which
Don't just shadow drop a Pokemon game.
which I feel like my favorite Pokemon game in a while got the least news from everything, like Pokemon Arceus, that got basically nothing the
Yeah, that
entire
was
Which
really
time,
is
weird,
nuts.
wasn't it? Especially because then it was one of the most different Pokemon games in a long time.
Mhm.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if Arceus will be this generation's, like, Pokemon Colosseum slash Gale of Darkness,
I
where
think
everyone's gonna look
so,
back and be
basically.
like, look at that cool fucking game they did where they actually changed something up." But it happened once, and then it never happened again, and it was never spoken of again, and they just pushed on business like usual.
Yeah. At least there's
Mhm.
something to tell our grandchildren in 40 years time or whatever.
Yeah.
But I remember when Pokemon was cool and they tried new things.
"You could throw the Pokeball yourself." "Okay, grandma, let's get you to bed."
Also, Pokemon's still cool. Don't tell me to grow up.
True, yeah.
Yeah, but speaking of monster games, I forgot it in the doc, but there was a new Digimon games or something this week, right? Is that coming to Switch?
Next order
Uh,
will be next world next next order?
Digimon World Next Order, I believe
I
is the
can't
title.
keep saying next world order. But yeah, that is now being, it's gonna be ported to the Switch and PC in February 2023.
Mhm.
You too
This one
excited
this
about
one's an
that?
old game. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 'cause I didn't play it. I'm
Me
excited to play
neither.
on the
Yeah.
Switch.
Nice, awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, very excited.
So our next question is kind of a follow-up on last week's story with the Bayonetta 3 drama. So Zaid says, this may not be a Nintendo-focused question, but with all the Helena Taylor stuff that came out earlier this week, how does this dispute affect the wider voice acting community when it comes to pay? Now, for context, she, for lack of a better phrase, just kept digging that hole this week, and she basically
Mhm.
called called all of the journalists that came out and reported about the $15,000 that she was offered. Instead, she called them liars. and that they were in the pocket of Platinum Games and Nintendo Japan. But she actually kind of went back on everything that she said in those videos. She specifically, and I went back and checked. She said it was $4,000 for the whole game, full buyout was the word she said, and she's later said that she was offered $10,000 total, and she went to Kamiya, and he offered her another $5,000, so that's the $15,000 that was reported. And after she declined that, she was then offered $4,000 for a cameo role. So all of the reporting seems to match up with what she's saying. I really don't understand what the videos were about personally, because she definitely made it seem like it was $4,000 for the game, and I think that was the impression that we were all under last week.
Yeah, and I think that is exactly what she stated. I don't think you're, like, mincing, like, any message. It's exactly what she said, and that's why everyone was so angry.
What do you think? What do
Yeah,
you
I don't
think about it,
know.
Chewy?
I think I think what we said last week still stands. I still feel like voice actors aren't paid very well, at least for like what they're doing slash the the place they have in our culture. But yeah, I don't know. This whole thing just feels so messy after all of these things. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, it honestly it's bizarre. Like I feel like if she'd have come out and was honest about it up front, like I was offered $10,000 for the whole game, I'd still have been shocked by that figure. Like, wow, seriously, $10,000 for
Dang.
That's not a
the
lot.
whole of Bayonetta? And then she went to him and was just like, I really want to do it, but $10,000 is not enough for my time. I really just I'm not asking for the world. I just need to be able to live. And then to be offered $5,000 more, I feel like if she was honest at that point, I think people would have still been on her side, but to make
Yeah.
it seem worse than it was with the $4,000 was the final offer. Yeah, it was the final offer, but it was a final offer for a cameo role where she only had to come and do one session, and it was just a few lines, and she would have been not Bayonetta but someone else in the game, and it kind of feels like she didn't expect them to call her bluff. Like she thought that she was Bayonetta, and there's no way that she was going to be replaced. So she can kind of keep bargaining more and more and more. And they just eventually called her bluff and was just like, no, we're going to get someone else to do it. But thank you for your time. We really appreciate your contributions. But yeah.
Nah, totally. It
Yeah.
sucks. Like, I feel like the general consensus is like you're on the same page as like us, where it's like, you know, like it would have been nice if she told the entire truth. And this kind of sucks for the whole voice acting community because people will now look to this as like a precedent or like an example of a time where like a voice actor like tried to ask for more pay and oh but
Mhm.
like look they were being unreasonable so let's just not give voice actors what they're due. Like I feel I don't or some sort of like negative shitty thinking will stem from this in the minds of video game suits, I'm sure. I It stinks. I wish she never lied. I wish she just, like, said what she said from the jump, like, even if, like, the figure was crazy, it's like, but you are also the original Bayonetta, so, like,
Mhm.
I still maybe would've said, like, "Yeah, like, why wouldn't you pay her that much? She has an important role." But here we are, and then poor Jennifer Hale.
Yeah, I know. I feel
For
really bad
real.
for her. But like, as you pointed out last week, Chewy, right? How many copies of the game would $10,000 be? That's like what, 200 copies?
I think it's like
Yeah,
250
like so it's
copies.
only 250 copies of the game before she's been paid off. So like it
Yeah.
still doesn't seem like enough, but I saw some figures doing the rounds. Jeff Grubb over on Twitter did a bit of digging, and it's like around 35 to $40,000 for like developers and artists and things like that in Japanese development studios. So where is the kind of like the wealth's not being shared there either? it feels like the money of these games is being sucked up into the shareholders' pay pockets, right? For these big
Yes.
AAA games, and it's not being trickled down into the people that actually make them. And I think that's where the bigger conversation needs to happen. It's not just voice actors. Yes, voice actors play a big part in games, but there are so many games without voice acting. I've complained multiple times that Pokemon needs voice acting and it hasn't had it. But there's still a lot of people
Yeah.
making those games, like the artists that make every single Pokemon. Like, who designed Pikachu? They probably got paid once for it, and never again.
Yeah.
And it's iconic.
Yeah. Though, I
Um,
will say the voice of Pikachu, she does the voice in every language. It's always her voice.
It's always
oh my
Pika
She's
god.
she's
Pika.
busy. She's a busy woman. Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's mad, especially when you think about the context of, say, Chris Pratt, for example. And I know his sessions are probably going to be longer, and it's probably going to be a longer period of time. But he's not getting paid $4,000 a session for his time
No.
to be Mario. But
Yeah.
Charles Martinet
Voice
might be, and we don't know.
Right. Right, that's another thing. Pay transparency still feels taboo in some industries. Like, people don't
Every
really.
industry, basically.
Well, especially when it's locked
Yeah.
behind an NDA and she's had to breach her NDA. I mean, she's completely ruined her career within the gaming industry. There's no way she'll work in the gaming industry after she's broken an NDA and dug a hole this big. But it seems like her aspirations are in the theater. That's what she told Bloomberg. So I don't know. I don't know what her goal is at this point, because she's still asking people to boycott the game. At some point, you've got to imagine a lawsuit's going to come her way, especially if Nintendo or Platinum feel like sales have been affected, that they're gonna come after her.
That would. Yeah. I don't want that to happen to her. I wouldn't be surprised. 'Cause it's like, y'all are a big, powerful video game company. Like, what are you really losing here? Like, I think Bayonetta's still gonna do fine, to be honest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so too.
It'll probably do about as well as it was gonna do before,
Yeah,
especially with all these
exactly.
complications with her story and everything. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's unfortunate. I think it's just like you have the opportunity to tell people like, "Oh yeah, this situation sucks. I'm not the only one who experiences it. Let's share the wealth a little better, you know?" And just like any misstep in that is just, a step for the bad guys, I feel like.
Yeah,
We're always gonna be the ones on the short end of that stick, you know?
yeah, because we had a comment on the last episode which was talking about how, residual deals, like, they're not feasible for a lot of companies. And I've spoken privately with some developer friends, and they've said, like, well, how can you do residuals for every game? Because a lot of the time, for smaller studios, like, maybe it works fine for AAA games, but for smaller studios, if the precedent becomes all voice actors get residuals, well, that's going to suck dry the profits from that studio, and they won't be able to fund their next game. If it's like an indie game, for example, they rely on funding the next game with the sales of the previous game. And so something needs to be done. And obviously these actors are in the Screen Actors Guild. I mean, maybe that contract needs renegotiating at some point to bring up the kind of minimum fee from $4,000. And maybe companies like Platinum and Nintendo, when they see that, yeah, that this is a star of a big franchise, they need to think, well, should we really be paying the minimum, or should we be setting a precedent here and, say, paying double for the larger actors, the lead character in a game like Bayonetta? But then Helena goes and says stuff like it's worth $450 million with no evidence to back that up. Like, where does that figure come from? It's not worth that much.
I
Yeah.
know.
What a sticky situation. Oh my gosh. I just hope that conversations keep being had surrounding this issue, and that, it's not just like we forget about this and move on to the next thing.
Yeah, me too. But I feel like that's probably what's
Yeah.
going to happen. If I feel like around every boycott of a game, this
Ah,
happens. Do you remember, like, there was like Crunch at Rockstar, Crunch at CD Projekt Red? People were like, "Oh,
Yep.
we're going to boycott all of these games." No one boycotted the games. They carried on buying them. They became like best-selling games. Like nothing
It was
changes.
around the release of Red Dead 2, right?
Yeah.
So that's how it came out CD Projekt Red. Mm. Yeah, that was a while back.
Yeah, and
Wow.
nothing changed. And granted, the culture at the studio has seemingly changed since, but people still bought the game. It was still a multi-million-dollar hit for Take Two. So I don't think boycotts ever ever work. I'm yet to see evidence of a boycott in video games having worked. And like I mean, I kind of agree with what Jennifer said as well last week, where it is a collective group that built the game. Like, yeah, you can boycott it, but those are potentially people's livelihoods, especially if there was bonuses attached to the game, and you've got one person who
Yeah,
is actually saying untruths about it and isn't revealing the whole story. She's lying through a mission, like she's not actually saying the full figures and the correct amounts, and she's telling people to boycott. And if there are, say, bonuses in place for the people that worked on the game, if we hit X number of sales figures, then people aren't going to get it, and that sucks.
for sure. And again, if she just didn't lie, if she
Yeah.
just didn't lie, this movement would not have lost steam.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how are you both
That's
feeling about
Um,
Bayonetta? I know I'm not picking the game up, and I think Chewy, you said you're not going to pick it up. But what about you, Sierra? Is Bayonetta at all your thing?
I was never going to get it.
we're all in the same boat here.
I considered it, but, like, there's too much going on now. I don't think I'll be able to like, isn't that sad? I have to base my game purchasing decisions based on the time I have, like, and the resources to play them. But yeah, nah, not happening.
That's how I make a lot of my like gaming decisions as well. It's just like, am I going to play this? I'm in the middle of playing Persona 5 for our game club that's coming out at the end of November. It's just like, am I really going to have time to even try Bayonetta 3 if I want to get sucked into that? Like, I bought the Bayonetta 2 physical edition that came with Bayonetta 1 on Switch. I traded it in like 2 months ago because I was like, I hated this game. So I have no desire to play Bayonetta.
Hmm,
It's got great reviews though, so people
Yeah.
who are interested are probably going to have a good time.
for
Hmm.
sure.
Our next question comes from Tyler Olson. How would you pitch a new F-Zero game for the modern era? And before I hear from you two, we've got a comment from Trendy Brandy who said, I think I heard this one awesome pitch that was like a GTA sandbox style open world game where you do bounty hunting missions as Captain Falcon.
So, I'll go last because 'cause I've never played an F-Zero game, and I'm gonna just make something up.
Okay.
I mean, I guess I just feel like all I think about with it is racing.
Yeah.
But and it's hard to live in that world with like Mario Kart being as successful as it
I
is,
think you can make what I want from it is like a career mode, and I feel like that's what Mario Kart's
Mhm,
always been missing. It's like some sense of progression. I'd love you to start like at the bottom of the range. You're not Captain Falcon yet. You're just this like up and coming. Think about like Star Wars Episode 1 where he's
Oh,
like building his first pod racer, right? But his it's like an
uh-huh,
origin story of he's like starting out. He's got to start off in like lower cups, and then he can get parts and things and like build out his racer, and you end up going to like new places and stuff like that. But it's
mhm,
still the traditional gameplay because I feel like we are missing F-Zero or a Wipeout style game. Like they were really fun games back in the day. Super
mhm,
quick, fast paced, sci-fi. Like you can do a lot of stuff with it, and I feel like they can take some of the cues from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, where we had like the anti-gravity stuff. Maybe there's like flying aspects and like areas or missions or whatever, and you can turn it into kind of this like this award that he's like going for. Like there's this contest and this
mhm.
competition. You can have like some sense of story around it. Maybe you do a tie-in with Star Fox. I don't know.
Right.
racing sim. I'm in now, where you're just that's got me for sure. Where you're just like trying to build up your character, your car, and everything. I guess what's important in a car. I don't know that part, but I feel like
Yeah,
what's
but
important in a
it would
racer
just be like
is
parts.
presence.
Yeah, yeah. And you
Yeah,
could
what's
even
important.
like if you wanted to go down the like route that they're sort of doing with Splatoon, you could have like aesthetic things that you unlock
Hmm.
as like a battle pass style system that you kind of use on the race or you use on your character, and then that's what you're using when you're in the races, and you can see that put onto your actual like ship that you're racing.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I feel like it could be cool to kind of mix in like I don't know, some other sim things where you're like, "Oh, I gotta make my persona, my status on the internet as high as
That
possible
would be
too, so people
cool,
come
yeah.
watch the
Yeah.
races."
And I'd even like
Just
to
mix in
see
all that
some
stuff.
some stuff from Persona where you've gotta, like, do the social stuff, and maybe you've gotta, like, join it up with a
Mhm,
team, and you've gotta make sure your team's morale is boosted, and to do that, like, you
mhm,
go and I know you go out for dinner or something with them like you would in Persona or Fire Emblem game.
mhm. My
Oh,
knowledge of, like, F1 or any of those things is very limited, but from the small things I've heard, I know racers have beef with each other, so, like, I don't know, I feel like there's a way to, like, dramatize it too, like,
Yeah, yeah,
make
like an
that
like
world.
Ultimate Fighters Championship where they get, like, really close to each other and they're, like, looking like this. I always find it so funny, and they've got, like, their fists in their hands, and they're just looking at each other. And then the moment it, like, drops, they, like, look away, and it's just, like, the face is, like you go, it's all just a bit, it's so funny.
Yeah,
so what I'm getting here is that they need to add a dating sim component.
Yeah,
totally.
it's honestly, yeah.
Uh-huh,
They need to make the drivers kiss.
Yeah,
of course.
I'd be up for that, yeah.
Me too.
But I think it's a world that they haven't explored enough and could really, like, redefine it in any way, you know? So,
Racing dating sim.
racing, dating sim, car builder sim. I don't know,
Also,
just mix
I
them all
want
into
guns. They should add
Guns
guns
would be
to
on
the
I think
Go for
guns
it.
should be on the ship, like, maybe you can choose maybe
Yes!
that's, like, how you choose your persona, like, do you play dirty and shoot and, like or, like, do you sabotage other people's, cars or ships or races by, like, I don't know, cutting the brake lines or something before the race? Like, can you choose to do things like
Holy
that?
shit. That would
Mhm.
be so cool. Also, you should be able to do tricks like 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 fucking Skate or Tony Hawk,
Tony Hawk.
and you get
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just,
and you
like,
get bonus
grinding.
points for it. And you can get sponsorships. You can slap, like, Mountain Dew on the side of your car.
They'll have a street invert mode.
I
Just
think we're
just
onto something here, guys.
We need a
I love it.
absolutely slapping soundtrack as well, like Tony Hawk, because that was always.
Oh,
I've been
yes.
playing a lot of Crazy Taxi this week, and the soundtrack in that original game, I think it's in The Offspring, so good. Like we need to get something like
Yeah.
that for F-Zero, and maybe each like world you go to has like different feel. Like maybe one's like a punk world, one's like a ska world, one's like a reggae world or something.
Yeah,
I
Jamaica.
love that.
Pete and Sarah just waving.
Yeah, Pete's gonna come back with some still drums, and he's just gonna be, playing it in the background.
Yes!
I
uh,
love
s-
it.
so our next
Mm.
question is our last question, and it kind of wraps it out, like wraps up the week nicely because it is Halloween on Monday, and I'm actually doing an
Ooh.
episode with Max on the Flip Screen Games podcast this week, all about Halloween games and survival horror, because this week saw the reveal of a ton of Silent Hill games and Resident Evil 4 and a bunch of stuff. So we're going to be talking about that over there if you want to listen to that. But Sierra, the other Sierra, Tamberwolf, wrote in and said, what are your favorite autumnal and or spooky games that you like to play on your Nintendo systems at this time of year? Other than Luigi's Mansion, LOL. So no Luigi's Mansion 3, Chewy.
Mhm. I mean, I always have time to fit in Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing's just like it's got the Halloween event going on, and that's great. So I always fit that in. This year, I've actually been really into Ooblets. I picked that up earlier, but they had an update which unlocks like all the Halloween stuff going on in there. And basically, you trick or treat. You talk to all the residents, they give you some candy, and then you spend that candy on some special Halloween goodies that
Oh,
are
that's
only
cute.
in for a limited time. So it doesn't close till like November 15th or so. So you've got like time to do it, which is good because I'm still missing a lot and haven't done like the super special mission quite yet. Still growing the crops to complete that.
I still
But
haven't
yeah,
played Ooblets,
Ooblets
and I
is
know I need to play it before the end of the year because I'm
it's
sure it
good.
will make it to my game of the year list if I do. I
It's
just
so solid. I promise you, you will be overwhelmed when you start, though. There's a lot going on in the game, especially in the beginning, and you're so broke, you're so poor, and it's hard to
is the
like.
like
uh,
scale of difficulty like it's ridiculous and then it gets easier as like the game progresses then?
Basically, yeah. I mean, it gets easier, but it's like it's always pretty busy, I would say. There's a bunch of different mechanics and things that you can focus on. I'm constantly trying to get all of the ooblets that I can, especially their gleamy forms, which are far superior to Pokemon shinies. I love them. But yeah, there's always a lot going on with ooblets, and then I'm trying to think if there was another little Halloween-ish game that I like on Nintendo. I don't remember. I'll probably think of one later.
What about you, Sierra?
Animal Crossing. I also
Yeah,
love Halloween in Stardew Valley, but the thing with that, it's not on the same clock as Animal Crossing.
yeah.
So like you just kind of get to Halloween when you get to Halloween. I don't remember if that's ever lined up for me in real life, but I do love the Halloween events in Stardew. I can't think of any other spooky games, unfortunately. I guess nah, Kingdom Hearts has a Halloween town world, but
That is the as in the movie Halloween Town?
yeah,
Holy
yes.
shit, that was my favorite. So
That's amazing.
I have never seen Hocus Pocus, but Halloween Town was like my absolute favorite when I was a kid. So I need to watch it.
Oh, my bad. The Nightmare Before Christmas, do they call it Halloween Town as well? Because it's
I think
from Nightmare Before
so.
Christmas, but I
Yeah.
Oh,
love
okay.
it.
So it's Nightmare
I
Before
also
Christmas.
I do also love Halloween Town, the
I love
Disney
that
Channel
film.
original
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
so good. I didn't finally see Hocus Pocus until, like, I think in the last 5 years, because like, I didn't care about Halloween the same way everyone else did as a kid. Like, I didn't like spooky things. I liked
Oh,
fun
wow.
Halloween stuff, but not, like, anything vaguely spooky. I did not.
Yeah, I've not really been into Halloween ever. I went trick or treating once as a kid. It's never been as big here as it has been in America, I don't think. And we never had like a lot of Europe has like Day of the Dead, and they actually just go and visit relatives and graveyards and things on that day rather than doing weird spooky
Dressed
stuff.
up.
Yeah. I remember I used to
Okay.
work with a company in Slovenia and I was over there. And that one day I was just like left to do nothing because everyone was off because it was like a national holiday that everyone goes and visits their family on Day of the Dead.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay. So it's actually like a solemn holiday
Yeah.
over there. Imagine dressing up.
Respectful holiday.
Yeah, imagine like showing up to your aunt's grave dressed as the Hamburglar. I
Can you
wonder
imagine
what
if I
would
showed up to work like that day and everyone's like really like somber, remembering relatives, and there's me dressed up like a fucking anime character or something? It would have been ridiculous.
Naruto.
Perfect. Perfect.
Oh my
So
Yeah.
Sobi
Oh,
said
go for it. Go
Alien
for it.
Isolation, and he has no idea how the Switch version looks
Oh.
as good as it does and still runs at a flawless 30 FPS. That's on my list to try. I've never played Alien Isolation. I bought it for my ex one year because he loved the Alien movies, and he couldn't finish it because it was too scary for him, which I thought was funny. But
damn, this looks terrifying.
yeah, there's like bits where you have to like hide in the cupboard because the like creepy guy with the like milk coming out of his neck comes after you. Yeah, it's really scary.
What was there was one on the Wii that was like an on-rails shooter.
Like
From
Rage?
the Alien.
Oh, an Alien on
No, it
rails
was an
shooter.
Alien game. Yeah, and it was for the Wii because it just worked with the Wiimote and everything.
Yeah.
That one was pretty fun.
I used to love House of the Dead as well. That was so good.
Yeah.
I miss light gun
Those are
games. I
awesome.
really do. They were like a whole genre themselves. They were so good. I love a good light gun game. I'm looking. Apparently, you can get light guns that work with modern TVs now. So I'm gonna try and get one of those at some point. Other than like the typical Resident Evil and things like that, which you definitely should play, like especially if you're interested in Resident Evil 4, the remake, go play the original. It's on Switch, it's on everything. It was on GameCube, Wii. Those like GameCube Resident Evil games, like the remake of original Resident Evil, Resident Evil 0, Resident Evil 2, all phenomenal games. They're well worth playing. The remakes, unfortunately, on Switch for Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 are cloud editions, so you should not play them there. You should play them anywhere else if you can. But I also like this time of year to be for cozy games, like stuff like Stardew Valley and Littlewood and things like that, Spiritfarer. Those are always really nice. I think that's why Ooblets would feel really good. I haven't really played enough cozy games this year.
Me neither. Maybe that's why I'm so depressed.
Cult of the Lamb, the deluxe edition's on sale right now, and I'm like, I think I'm gonna grab that. That seems like a really good game to play just right now.
That's actually really fun to stream because there's like an integrated Twitch mode, and the people watching can completely fuck with you. It's really fun.
I love it.
Yeah. If it's on sale, maybe I'll grab that because I wanted to play. I just, too expensive for a game that I didn't know when I'd have time for it.
Yeah. And at the moment, I'm just playing through Persona, which is scary enough because it's 120 hours long. And for me, that is just the most terrifying thing that I've somehow got to play that game.
Well,
I better start playing.
Same. I've been dragging my feet.
Yeah, so if anyone doesn't know, we're doing a Flip Screen Games Club at the end of November. So our first episode is going to air. And every month we're going to be doing a new episode. And we're going to be playing up to a certain point that we'll reveal in the episode. So this first episode, we're playing up to the end of the first palace. So if you want to play along with us, once you've got to the end of the first palace, you can either stop and listen to the episode of the Games Club or carry on if you want to. But that is where we're going to be playing up to. So expect spoilers in the Games Club if you do want to listen and follow along.
Mm-hmm.
You two got any other recommendations for cozy or scary games this time of year? Undertale is great. Yeah.
Stanley Parable, very eerie, not
I've
scary.
I've never played that game. Pete always keeps telling me I should.
I need to play it.
Yeah. That's one I would recommend because I can't even get through it. What's the subterranean game? What's the submarine game?
Subnautica?
Subnautica?
It's Subnautica. That's the name. Oh my god. Yeah, that's apparently that one's also spooky. I won't touch that one either.
Yeah, Subnautica can
the
be
Outlast
spooky.
games are scary.
Yeah, they are. And is Layers of Fear? Is that on? I think that one's on Switch as well. That one's a really good game by that's by Bloober, who are doing one of the Silent Hill games, which is always worth picking up. The medium not so hot. They like it's like a ham-fisted approach to mental health, so stay clear of that one.
Okay.
But what else was I gonna say? there's a bunch of either scary stuff. I've actually been playing not on Nintendo systems, but I've been going on itch lately, just like itch.io, and
Oh,
just
yeah.
clicking on the
Mhm.
horror tag and just like either playing those in the browser or downloading them. There's so many good, like little 15, 20-minute experiences on there that will scare you shitless.
Mhm.
I just get some friends around, we play those. There's one where we were just like, someone calls you up and he's like, "Oh, hi, I've got a job for you," and he wants you to go clean his apartment, and you go clean the apartment, and it's scary as fuck. It's called like Late Night Mop or something. But there's so many like
Mhm.
jump scares in there as well with your time, and there's like 3 endings to it as well. It's really cool.
I love it. I need to do that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me this week. I know Sierra, you weren't due on for this episode, but I appreciate you filling in while I fill in
No, of
Pete's
course I
shoes.
don't mind. Love to hang out with my pals and talk video games. It's not a problem at
Yeah,
all.
it's been fun. I'm sure Pete will be back next week. But in the meantime, go check out this week's episode of Flip Screen Games podcast with Max. I'll be talking through some more Halloween stuff if you want to hear more about that. And yeah, we shall catch you on the next one.